Good morning and welcome to Brandenburg News Network. I am Donna Brandenburg, and it's the 6th day of June 2024. Thank you for joining our show today. We have several things going on today, and I'm trying to get things moving this morning. You ever notice that some days are just harder to get going than others? Today was one of those days, and I'm not sure exactly why, but we did have something that happened this morning in our neighborhood, and it was kind of sad. Somebody hit a pedestrian in the street, and so kind of trying to get a normal start to the day, but I'm not sure that this is going to be a normal start to the day. Anyway, please pray for all involved. I actually know one of the people involved in this, and probably not a good day for that person. So mistakes happen. And unfortunately, a lot of times when something wrong happens, you've got a problem on both sides as far as a lot of sadness and such. It wasn't, I can tell you right now, it wasn't intentional. So just because I know the people involved. But at any rate, I'm going to bring on Karen right now. I'm waiting for Stefany and Tom Hamner right now. And like in all situations, morning, Karen.
Good morning.
When you have people that are in the line of fire, like the J6ers, and what's happened with their daughter Lilyana, sometimes things are volatile. So I'm hoping that things are okay with their family right now. But one of the things they did is they shared a video with me of them talking about Lilyana, whether they're able to come on this morning or not. I'm waiting to hear back from them again. Tried to contact them, but their phones are not responding. So I have a little bit of a concern right now, especially with what they have shared in this latest video. I do think this needs to get out. So I think we're going to go ahead and play that in a little bit, but I'm going to give them a few more minutes, and hopefully they're okay and that they're going to be on. So Tom had spent time in the gulag in DC and got out. Lilyana, oh, here we go. We have him on right now. I'm glad to see him because I was getting a little bit concerned. So, but we'll wait till they get themselves going here a little bit. But anyhow, we'll start that when they get on. So how are you this morning, Karen? Oh, and also musician Mark Mackay is going to be on this morning. I consider him a very good friend. I like him as a person. He's a good man, but I love his music. I could sit and listen to Mark all day long, play guitar, piano. He's incredibly talented, and he's been on tour. We did see him when I was back. I was backstage with that group when they were in Michigan, and Ted Nugent was there and signed my hat, which I was really excited about. So did Mark, and so did Jeff Marshall, who used to play with the Alan Parsons Project, among others. But these people are so talented. It is amazing, and he's a very much a President Trump, the rightful president of the United States, supporter. Love Mark to pieces. He's written some great songs to support the rightful president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, and so I really very much appreciate that with him. So anyhow, what's going on with you this morning, Karen? Oh, Ralph's joined us too, so we're going to let Tom and Stefany get themselves settled here. As soon as they're settled, I'll bring them on.
Good morning.
What's happening, guys?
Oh, not too much. It's been incredibly busy this week.
Yeah, we've all been tearing around like a bunch of savages, haven't we?
Pretty much.
Yeah. I got up this morning and I was like, oh no. And then we had the mishap in the neighborhood, which was not a good thing. But prayers for all involved to that, because that's a very, very sad day, I'm sure. So
I
anyway.
don't know that I can say that my morning was unusual or not.
No, you got ambushed by Donna, didn't you?
I mean, it's just, I don't need to set an alarm. I just have my text notifications turned up.
And then what happens? You get a morning wake up call from Donna.
I get a text or I get a phone call, and I'm like, what is that chime? Oh, it's done. It's 8:55. Uh-oh.
So did you guys
I slept
see the
in
new
today.
Did you see the new political strategy that was pioneered by a member of the Taiwanese parliament?
Yes, I did, because you sent it to me. Would you like to? Do you have the ability to share it online, or do you want me to try it?
No, I don't really.
Oh, but, for gosh sakes. Ralph, you're an IT guy, for Pete's sakes.
Yeah, and as such, I hate technology.
Oh, that's funny. You should the guy that I had on the last few days, Bob Terry, he's incredibly informative, and he was talking yesterday, and I was like, yep, he's incredibly knowledgeable in hang on a minute, let's see if I can get this thing out here. I'm not sure I can share it the way that I need to while I'm online here. So
you can try this.
Okay, incredibly knowledgeable. However, with that said, he's definitely a programmer, because he's very line by line, and you got to know this, and the information he has is so critical. That's why I had him on for a long time, because we need to, in a fine-grained way, see how these people behind the scenes are hacking our elections. And okay, where did you send it? Just send text or email or
chat?
Oh, all right, that'll work.
Yeah, I was thinking Ralph would understand this guy better than I do, but he had so much information, and I thought
a lot of great
information. He hasn't presented this anywhere else. Then there's going to be some Ralphs out there listening to this show and the others that he's been on, and getting something out of it that I'm not going to get, but at least I can understand the basic principles of it.
Well, and two, the way a lot of times that programmers talk tends to be very much like you start with step one in establishing your point, and then make sure that that's well established, and then build off of that for the next point, because that's kind of how you would explain things to a computer. You go step by step and go, one line at a time, setting up all of your preliminary stuff, and then combine it together.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here's the video, guys. Here we go.
Yeah, so new strategy from a member of parliament: steal the bill so it can't pass.
Oh, yes.
And run away with it.
I think it was like last week or something. I think it was like last week I saw that somewhere.
Yeah, it's just funny.
It's
amazing.
Hilarious.
Like, you'll see there was an all-out brawl in one location recently too, and we used to have those in this country. We don't hear about it very often, but we used to.
Well, I don't know. Go to the Republican. I don't know. Go to the Republican Party, and you've got slapping, and punching, and throwing people through doors and such. It's like this is nonsense. These people are crazy. So, Stephanie and Tom, when you're ready, give me a thumbs up here, and I'll bring you on. Okay. I think they're there. So hang on a minute. Let me text them a minute, and we'll see if we can get this thing running.
Check the private chat.
Okay, hang on a minute. Okay, private chat. Hang on here. All kinds of cool stuff and things. Oh no, I can't see you, Stephanie. Let's see. I'm going to bring you on here a minute, and we'll say hi. Hey, how are you?
Hey, trying to get my camera working.
Yeah, I can. You're very, very soft, so I can hardly hear you, and I can't see you.
Really sadness. Let me try a different device, you guys. I only have like 10 hacked, corrupted things.
Yeah,
Makes my life super, super fun.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're messing with you. They were messing with us yesterday. My guest yesterday turned into a robot. It's not on our side, it's on the other side that they're messing with us, which is kind of interesting and indicative to the fact that, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are in fact over the target. So I'm going to take you out, Stephanie, and then you can come back in another device, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so back in the saddle again here.
Well, he lost power yesterday too, didn't he? And
He did.
it was kind of interesting watching him freak out about it. And you and I were sitting here like, yeah, that's
we got
that's nothing. But he was like, this never happens.
Yeah, we're like, you're like, no kidding, you know. This is I've had so many people that have come on and it literally affects their devices, which is what he was talking about. That Microsoft is left a way in, and they've got a pathway in to any computer because they control the firewall. So they can come into any computer, they could theoretically plant things to blackmail you with on your computer, and they don't leave a footprint when they leave. There is no protection right now to anything. And he also outlined how our election machines are using the Microsoft technology because it's in the operating system. So they in fact have the ability to go into the machines, change anything they want, and you won't see where they came in and backed out, unless of course you're like the good guys who we have everything kind of people that can see things. There's another weird connection too that I'm going to bring out to Citibank, and there's such a huge network of these people. I'm quite honestly surprised that I'm still here. When Tom was talking, when Bob was talking yesterday, my thought was that's why I wanted to get him on and leave the cameras rolling, because the information he's putting out there is so dangerous to the bad guys. Like, we got to get this stuff out and get it decentralized before the bad guys get a hold of him and do bad things. I mean, you can look at what's happened in the history of even the recent history with all the people who have been arkancided or dead doctors don't lie, that sort of thing. And it's really sad, but they literally take people out. And I've got Jonathan Cagle on tomorrow, who's talking about K2, the security, one of the security companies coming through the Krolls. And he outlines it clearly as an assassination organization. Really interesting to listen to him, because if they don't like what you have to say, there is all kinds of threat and coercion that people are facing. Even when good people step up, you're going to be threatened. They're going to try to threaten and coerce you. There's no two ways about it. But you got to have enough guts and unwavering stance that you don't cave to these people. It's unfortunate. It's sad. Oh, here we go. We got her on.
So you bring up Citibank. Another one that needs to be looked into a little bit is SoftBank out of Japan. Okay. They've got some real interesting connections.
Yeah, the banking system are their own cartel. Make no mistake about it. They are their own cartels, and they're controlled. When you look at the money, there's a reason why Follow the Money keeps coming up, because there's somebody's always getting paid off. So if somebody makes it to the top where they're embraced by fake stream media and the politicians, and I mean all of them, they're in it so deep, almost all of them, that they're trying to save their behinds, and that's really what's going on here. So I've got Stephanie is just on. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
You're still like no sound.
Okay, how about this?
Nothing.
She just mute herself.
She just muted herself, so let's see what happens here. See if I can unmute her. Nope, she's got to mute herself. So you're still muted.
There we go. How about now?
It's a little better, but you're very soft, and we're getting feedback.
See, all my devices. Let's see what I can do here. I'll mute myself for a minute.
Okay, and you might be better off going through headphones or something like that. We can try that, but we're gonna have to get the sound up, or nobody's gonna be able to hear you. But I do have the video that you sent me queued up to play, because I think people need to hear what these criminals that say they're protecting are in protection of anything, what they're actually doing, because this is so wrong. When I listened to the video, I was literally shocked at what I was hearing. Not really shocked, but you know, when it hits this close to home with people, you know, this is horrific, absolutely horrific what they've done to Lilyana Rose. And people need to know, because if they can do this to Tom and Stefany, they could do it to any one of us. It's just like what they've done to President Trump, the rightful president of the United States. What they've done to him, targeting, using weaponized agencies, they could do it to any one of us. And in my opinion, CPS and all the child protective services, Catholic services, Lutheran services, Bethany Christian services, all of them are getting paid to move people around. And this is human trafficking, people. This is what it looks like. Anything that they have taught us to try to trust, of course, they're going to use that to get us, because nobody's going to look. Everybody's going to be afraid to say something. Oh, don't question them, you know. But we have to. There's got to be accountability. Data hijack. Sorry, from Charlotte. Hopefully we can get things. No, can't hear. Okay, let's see if we can. I hope she can get it working. But if she can't, let's just go ahead and talk until she figures this thing out, guys. So, anything else that you've been seeing recently in the news?
Yesterday was a big news day. All kinds of stuff happening. I called it an acceleration. Another day where it just seemed like a whole bunch of things are happening. And I think some of it may be to distract from Hunter. I don't know that that's a big enough story. Like to really affect the election. It seems like not very many people are reporting on it or discussing it. It's kind of like we're just over that. We know it's going to happen and it's not a surprise. So, and it's interesting because technically, from what I've heard, he should win the case. He should be acquitted because of the laws that he's being tried against are unconstitutional. So technically, we should be rooting for his success.
I think I can hear you. Try unmuting a minute. You're still muted. See if you can unmute.
Settings, audio. How can you hear me now?
You're very, very quiet. Can you get
now?
closer to the microphone?
I'm gonna have to switch to.
Yeah, no.
Any better?
That's a little better right there.
Right there?
Yeah, I can hear you better. Can you guys hear her?
Yep.
Okay, now we're good here. Okay, awesome. Well, welcome on today. It's crazy times, isn't it?
Oh boy, never a dull moment. I tell you what.
So, should we play that video? Would you like to start out with that, or do you want to tell what's going on and update with Lilyana?
I think if we're all good here, I'm going to jump off and kind of let you highlight her. So
Okay.
See ya.
Thanks, Ralph.
Let's see. Are you talking about the videos from the last visit that I was on with her when you spoke with her for like 2 whole minutes?
That one, but the one you sent me with Google Docs with her talking about the sexual type invasion of her privacy.
I just found that last night.
What's that?
Yeah, I just found that last night. I was putting together my story, if you will. I'm still going to try and get signed on to a better device that you can hear me better on. So you let me know how it goes. But Yeah, so that was testimony that Lily had given me back in, I want to say, April or May of last year. She was living with a foster mom by the name of Casey Demetz at the time. And I found out about it a year later that she was taken to an undisclosed location, what appears to be, I would call it a county health department, because that's typically where these things have been taking place. And she was asked to remove her clothes, get in a gown, and straddle up for a pelvic examination.
At 14 years old.
She was 13 at the time. And she they said she said they took pictures of her private area, touched her on the outside, and then after the exam was done, they asked her if she would like to see the X-rated photos of herself.
Oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me.
No.
So now we can safely assume that they're probably into porn, because I mean, kiddie porn, this is horrible. You know, I was on a plane this week and I talked to a woman who her parents gave her up when she was little, and she talked about being in the foster care system. And she said when she was 6 years old, she was forced to give her foster dad blowjobs, and that if she didn't get the dishes clean, she had to do double duty behind the closet door in the bedroom. These people are horrible. Let me.
This situation was quite terrifying for me because, well, I should have sent you the articles about the child that died who was in the same unit as my daughter. So my daughter was located at the Youth Villages, the Rose Center in Memphis. It's a facility for girls, level 4 residential, who torments, abuses, completely tortures psychologically and physically and emotionally these children in here. She was there for 9 months, from about June of last year until February, and she almost didn't make it. She had to literally fight for her life every single day. And if it wasn't the peers who were jumping her, ripping chunks of her hair out, that's where a lot of those marks, most of the marks that are in those pictures that everybody has seen, came from that facility's watch. So Legend Jones is a 17-year-old child who was murdered at the hands of 17 staff members at Youth Villages back in November.
What happened?
So Legend Jones was taken off-site to an off-site medical appointment without her mother's knowledge or consent. And she was taken there by 2 males, even though it was written all over her file that she was not to be alone with any men whatsoever due to her sexual traumas in the past. But of course, they love to just force whatever the thing that the child is most scared of, they love to just force it on him. So 2 men accompanied her to whatever the Memphis County is, Shelby County Health Department, for a pelvic exam birth control appointment, and she did not feel comfortable. They asked her to get undressed. She told them, no, I don't feel comfortable. I'm not going to take my clothes off. And I believe that what took place at that time was that the individuals who had accompanied her there had a good idea that they were going to get in some trouble when they got back to the facility, because she was going to tell on them. So they proceeded to call back to the Rose Center. And when that child arrived back to the facility, instead of taking her to her dorm or back to her room to be peacefully quiet, there were 17 individuals waiting for her in one room. And I have been in touch and have built a relationship with the mother of that child. Her name is Shauna Garner White. She's been very public about this. She's hired a mega civil rights attorney who, it's a class action. There's a ton of kids involved in this now. But Shauna told me that she actually is one of the only people that have seen the video footage of what happened to her child. And basically one of the males went to go grab her shoulder, and she jerked back like that, and it was on. And she said she saw a male staff just punch her right in the face for no reason. And then it was like all of them just jumped on her and drug her all the way around the room to where all you could see was her feet in the doorway, just, shaking until the life was gone out of her. And then, to make matters worse, they waited 40 minutes to even get the ambulance called to take that poor child to get medical treatment. And then a 40-minute ambulance drive after that, the first hospital refused to treat that child. So she ended up being without oxygen for 90 minutes. She died of a hemorrhage, a brain bleed. Her face was so swollen and unrecognizable. It's
I can't, I don't even have any words for this. What I hope that someday these people are going to be brought to justice. This is horrific.
Yeah, so I had been screaming from the rooftops for 9 months about the abuses that my daughter was suffering in this place to everybody that would listen. Her GAL, Thomas Miller, Michelle Breeding, TJ Jones, the attorney, Marie Blunt, the counselors at youth villages, my attorney, Wendy Rutherford, Magistrate Elijah Enoch Wilhoit of the Davidson County Juvenile Court, everybody, because they're mandatory reporters of abuse. And nobody would even help my child. And then I found out that there was a death. And I was like, we have to get her out of here. Like, because things were really starting to get retaliatory, I would say, within the facility, because my daughter started to learn her rights and the law, and she was advocating for the other children in there, and handing out the policies and things that they didn't want her to spread that information. In fact, they threatened her numerous times anytime she was just stating facts, stating law. What is an illegal restraint? What is tort law? All this crazy stuff. That's my kiddo.
Wow.
Like, she's a quick learner, and I had sent her a lot of stuff for her to study up on while she was in there. And once I found out that child had died, I told her, I was like, you need to lay low. I was like, all that, loud voice, just everything. And I was like, that's been great. I said, but right now you need to be safe. You need to be safe. You need to stay to yourself until we can get you out of there. So finally in February, she was transferred to a different facility on the other side of the state.
Wow. Have you talked to her recently? Now, so everybody knows, when we brought you on the one time, because you've been on a few times, and we were able to talk. I was able to talk to her for a few minutes there, which was amazing. And I asked her how she was doing, and I'm like, do you want to go home? She said, I want to go home. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why they're holding her there. She's clearly, there's no threat. There's no threat there. And but the stomping heavy boots came in the room, cut the feed off, and there was nothing that said I couldn't talk to her along with you or anything like that. And then they terminated your visitation rights, correct?
Correct. Yeah, they cut that visit short that day, and then immediately the guardian ad litem filed a motion for an ex parte restraining order against me that contains nothing but lies about what was said and discussed during that visitation. That just isn't true whatsoever. And
we've got all the footage.
You got the footage?
Yeah, we have all the footage, so it's not like they can silence it, because I
have the footage that they didn't want you to see when they kicked you guys off the court hearing too. Didn't I share that with you?
You did not. Maybe we should show this, because it's like, I'm sorry, they get to do all of this, and they use all kinds of excuses on why they
that's not real. They are public servants. Okay.
And no, they're not. They're the Gestapo. They're like the secret police, and they've got no ability to. I mean, this is horrific.
Yeah, it is pretty horrific. At this point, the only good news that I've received this week is that Tennessee has finally gotten off of their arses and actually filed an order for the ICPC home study to be completed on Lilyana's grandparents who live in Maine. Now, this should have taken place 16 months ago. These same grandparents have been like, hey, filled out the stuff. They were ready, and they never bothered.
Yeah, because they want to damage you guys. They want to damage you guys because of Tom's involvement in January 6th. This is weaponization of our government criminals in these captured agencies. It's horrific. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it really is. I find it laughable that they're going to wait until they finally have a ridiculous restraining order against me to actually do what they were supposed to do all along as far as the law is concerned.
Are you sending me that video? Do you want me to play the video of them talking about?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's go ahead.
I have 10 devices that have all had cyber intrusion done, and I know who's behind that as well. So it's kind of like almost impossible to get anything accomplished over here.
Okay,
so
that's okay. That's okay. We'll get her up and running here. Listen to this. You got to listen carefully. I cannot turn the sound up anymore, but maybe just a little bit. But listen carefully. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'll get it up here. Let's try this.
It wasn't an investigation that they hadn't put in place. They're like, do you want to see the pictures or?
Wait a minute. They did a pelvic exam on you?
I don't know if it was a pelvic exam.
So were there things inserted into your vagina?
No, not so.
Okay. So what are you talking about? Cameras? You're just talking about a camera interview?
Yeah, they assess. They didn't. I don't think they swabbed it, but they just assessed.
Did they put their hands inside you?
No.
Did they look at your vagina without any underwear on?
Yeah.
Who?
I don't know what the place was called.
You don't know what the place was called? Was it a medical facility?
It was with, I believe so. It wasn't a facility.
The Jessica, it was with was it that through your other counseling place, that original one?
No, it was I think it was a foster parent.
Wait, pause. You think about, we can talk about this at a different time because I think that you should probably write some things down so you can get everything together because the words that you're using are very confusing because what, okay, I know, hang on, pause, my turn. What I'm hearing you say is that foster parents looked at your hoo-hoo without any underwear on, okay? So, if you're saying that foster parents took you somewhere.
Yes, I believe it was, I think it might have been either Casey.
The Mets?
Or, I think it was Casey, but.
Or, because the foster parents before that were those ones. What were their names? The doctor and the other lady with the 12 million kids.
Yeah, it wasn't that. Because that was Naomi and Wendell.
Yes, that's their names.
No,
wow.
But they brought me to this place. They asked me all kinds of questions and did an assessment. And then they asked if I wanted to see the pictures or not. And yeah.
That is so bad. That is so bad. And see, I don't even want to get into it. We'll just leave it at that.
And they asked if I heard it, they asked if she wanted to see the pictures that they took of her private parts. Yeah, isn't that amusing? It's horrific. That's how they start to overexpose these kids to sexualization and sexual images so that by the time the actual abuses happen, they're a little less shocked. Wow.
Oh my God.
Okay, I just sent you an email.
All right, let me see if I can get that one up a minute. I think this is so important to get out. That this is how these kids are being treated. And the gal that I talked to, I'm going to try to get her on. She said she doesn't even talk about it much because it's so painful, her past. But if we can get her to tell her story, I literally was shedding tears on that plane listening to her story. I'm like, man, I wish I would have been your mom. I would have taken care of you. There's no way that this is just horrific. All right, let's see if we can. I'm gonna see if I can get this going here. I don't. Last time I tried one of these, it wasn't letting me go directly. Now
we've been talking about government agencies being connected to pedophilia, human trafficking. This is direct evidence of that happening. They were grooming her, and there's no quote unquote pelvic exam as if it's a doctor's procedure which was necessary for her health.
Yeah, you guys, it gets even worse. I forgot to mention that I already had looked into the laws in Tennessee pertaining to this specifically because my daughter had expressed an interest in getting on birth control before coming back home to Colorado. And I wanted to make sure that I had, all my ducks in a row as well, because since being in DCS custody, she had gone missing overnight and apparently had some sort of sexual interaction for the first time with God knows who. And so I was like, oh boy, I better make sure that, you know what I mean, we're all safe and protected. So there is not a single OBGYN who would actually even see my 13-year-old or 14-year-old daughter for even a birth control consult, not even a pelvic exam, because the laws in Tennessee stated that you have to be 21 years old before you can have a pelvic exam or before you can be seen for birth control, unless you just go to Planned Parenthood and just get some pills, you know what I mean, over the counter, basically.
I can't even, they took pictures of her private area and offered to let her see this. Okay, so now I've got, I'm looking at a whole bunch of files. Which file do you want me to show?
Well, let's see. The ones that have Lily in a white shirt, there's like 5 or 6 of them. That's the visit. So that's like me and her, our visit right before you had gotten on with her.
Yeah. But I want to see what you were showing me, because like this, there's files here, but I can't see what I'm supposed to click on. There's no pictures.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You need to know the name of it.
Yeah, I need to know the name of it.
So if you click on any of the ones called Sandcastle.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I see Sandcastle. There's 1, 2, there's like 7 or 8 videos. Which one do you want me to click on? The last one?
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just a little clip of our little chat that we were having right before I let Lily say hi to you.
Okay, so I'll click the last one and see if it'll play. Looks like it might. Chewing on it right now.
All the blockage.
Yeah.
Yeah, they finally got to my uncorruptible and unhackable phone that I was so excited about. I've gone through 9 different cell phones. I was so thrilled to finally have an unplugged phone that doesn't use Google or Apple and actually lets you block everything built in.
Yeah, I would have to download that, or in a different way here. So it's not allowing me to do that right now.
That's okay.
So I'd kind of like to see what happened after. Do you have something that happened after our discussion?
Well, I have videos from the court hearing that they kicked you guys out of.
Yeah, I got kicked out of there. I was the first one to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I was honest. I told them, they're like, "Are you on?" I said, "Well, this is Brandenburg News Network, and I'd like to broadcast this." And they're like, "Have you filed papers?" I'm like, "No, because this is kind of fast here." And they're like, "Nope." They're like, "You're," and then they ended my feed, and then I guess every single other person got removed.
Yeah.
Can't have witnesses, can ya? Can't have witnesses, criminals.
Yeah. It's a private, it's confidential matter, right? That means it's not a court of record, and they're acting under their administrative capacity under contract law, not judicial law. And they want everybody to just pretend like they
Have the right.
so scared, right?
Yeah. Well, so what else is happening with her right now? I mean, that video where they're talking about being taking pictures of her vagina. I mean, when in the world would that be? This is not okay.
That's what I was going to say. Like, for the men of the world who don't know, how often does it ever happen that any woman of any age, woman or girl, is exposed to photography during a basic pelvic exam?
During any exam, they do not take pictures of your body like that. You know,
not unless it's a report of some kind of abuse or attack or something like that. No,
which case
that's not normal in any way, shape, or form.
Hospital or something, you know, people are typically taken to the emergency room to get, you know what I mean, a rape kit done on them or something of that nature, and not to some, you know, unmarked building that couldn't even really be identified for sure that it was even a doctor's office, you know. And the thing is, they made it seem so normal that she didn't even realize there was anything like wrong with what had happened. And then she was telling me about it months and months and months down the road. And at first, when she told me, I wasn't as reactive when she first told me, because I thought to myself, I'm like, exactly what you did. Like, oh, it must be for some sort of fake report ridiculousness, right? But I did know the laws in Tennessee about how old you have to be for that. So that was very concerning on its own. And then fast forward to when Legend Jones was murdered in the exact same scenario, okay, because she refused to comply. That's when it dawned on me what the hell had just happened. My daughter's been trafficked. Those images were bought and paid for. I guarantee it. Not to mention the birth control that they implanted in her arm just a few weeks ago. That's all fun stuff too. Off-site medical appointments, you know, it's really, the health department are the only places that are willing to stoop that low, because they only have to answer to the government.
And they can hide it for each other.
Exactly. Not anymore.
No, so what I thought was really interesting is when you were in that hearing, how much time you said that they spent so much time talking about the interview that we did on BNN.
Two hearings. They spent 2 hearings wasting everybody's time, and just to not give me any time for my witnesses. So I had 2 parts to the ex parte argument hearings, okay, a week apart from each other. And I finally got to call Tom as a witness, and he got to answer like 3 questions. So
can we take a moment to clarify? You just mentioned, and I believe I know the answer already. They inserted into her arm a birth control.
Nexplanon birth control at another.
Was that by your knowledge and consent?
Oh, no. This was at a different facility, Mountain Youth Academy in Mountain City, Tennessee. They actually cut our visit short with no explanation as to why. And then all of a sudden they were like, oh, yeah, she's got this medical appointment offsite. And then I started to worry a little bit, because me and Lily had made like an agreement together when she was transferred, like what to look out for. You know what I mean? And like, those are the scenarios that you really have to be cautious of, especially knowing how the other girl got killed, you know? And I haven't lost my parental rights. I have every right to be involved in every single medical decision for my child, period. In fact, the judge had actually granted me permission and ordered that I be the one to schedule and take her to her appointments, because of the negligence that Lily had experienced because of DCS making not taking care of her teeth, and then she had to get teeth pulled permanently because DCS left root canals untreated for 8 months.
Hold the phone. They pulled her teeth?
Yeah, so my daughter had 2 root canals that needed to be done when they first had done her initial assessment. when she first entered custody in February of 2023, along with multiple regular fillings. And they just didn't bother keeping up with it. They would have an appointment 3 months later at a different dentist. And you know what I mean? Nobody knew up from down. And it was just like x-rays and cleaning all over again every time. And she was in so much pain for 8 months. And finally I had to like step up in court to the judge and say, Your Honor, look, can I look, I'll pay for it, whatever, because they were claiming that the issue is that the wait list for trying to get an appointment for a TennCare dentist. And I said, I'd be happy to pay for my daughter's well-being and medical treatment if you'll let me, So he actually ordered that I take over all of those things because they were getting so neglected by so many individuals for so long.
Can I ask you which teeth they pulled?
She had to get her last molar on the top back pulled. And then she got a root canal on the one next to it, but it's probably not going to be savable either. And now she doesn't have any molars left, and all of her teeth are starting to, of course, separate. She's got huge gaps in her teeth now because she doesn't have any back molars keeping her teeth, to the front. So now they're going to be responsible for paying for dental implants eventually when I do get my day in court on the proper side.
So as a mom, the next question I have too is, how are you coping with this?
Yeah.
I cannot even imagine the grief in your heart. I mean, first you have your husband incarcerated for doing nothing wrong.
I bury myself in paperwork and legal stuff. That's all I can do. That's all I can do.
I am so sorry.
Right now I have my freedom to worry about. So that's been a big stressor this week for me.
Yeah. So they arrested you. And
yeah, they fraudulently arrested me unlawfully for parental kidnapping, violating a custodial order when I'm the only one that possesses a certified custody order. And in doing a ton of research since I got out of jail in Missouri and got back home to Colorado, I've discovered that all of my arresting warrants, complaints, everything is all fraud. It's all fake. It's not even real. I'm not even in a real court. All my papers are stamped with a stamp that says, not an official court document, not an official court document. What? The warrant, when I finally did pull it from online, because they did not provide me with one when they arrested me, even though I demanded to see it, they said they're not required to show you a warrant. It's a hard warrant. And I said, is that what they're teaching in the police academy these days? Wow. So the arrest warrant is supposed to actually mention the law in Tennessee that I violated, that I'm charged with, right? Because I have a fugitive warrant, right? The fugitive warrant is classified as an unidentified felony. Class U, never heard of it, doesn't even exist. And then the laws in Tennessee that I broke are not mentioned either. It just says, oh, the laws of the state of Tennessee and this and that, custodial interference. But you have to have the number of the law, okay? There's so many things wrong with this, and I've actually uncovered sub statutes. Okay, so not only are these people creating, sorry, you guys, it's hard for me to stay in the picture. Not only are these courts creating annotated and revised code and statutes all the time, right? So you've got, Colorado revised statutes, you've got Tennessee code annotated. Whenever it's got that third letter on it, that means it's been magically updated to hide a bunch of things, in my opinion. In every state that I look into, it gets worse and worse. First, it was Tennessee. Then I looked into my own home state of Colorado and was blown away at what is already law here to kidnap our children and families and to hold them hostage for their whole life. And then in Missouri, they've got MSRO. It's not even Missouri revised statutes. It's a sub. And that is what they're using in the court that I'm in, which is not even a circuit court, you guys. And so sometimes I can get a little bit ahead of myself because a lot of people aren't familiar with these terms of law. But when you are charged with a crime, you are required to be heard in a circuit court in front of a circuit court judge, okay? Or higher. Not lower than that. So they've created an associate circuit court. It's called Division 35. And Donna, I don't know if I told you what happened to me at my hearing when I was jailed, and I had 2 identical extradition hearings.
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, now I know why. So let me back up here. When I was jailed in Missouri on the 9th of May, first of all, my arrest warrant stamped for the 10th of May. So how is it that the arrest warrant came out a day after I was arrested? That's not real. Then I went in front of a judge on Friday the 10th at 9:00 in the morning. It was Judge Baker in Division 35. I was in shackles. I was with other inmates who were all chained up, and correctional officers. We were walked into the courtroom. There was nobody in the courtroom. I found that to be very strange. There was no public defenders, no attorneys, nobody in the audience, like family members of incarcerated. And the clerk even stated out loud that they had the back public doors locked. They had the doors in the back locked to the public. And I'm like, this is really strange. And then when they said, all rise, I do not rise for any judge because I stand under the laws of God only. So you do not rise. That's you unknowingly giving them consent. So the correctional officer came up to my face and threatened me because I didn't stand. And she was like, get up, get up. And I was like, no, ma'am. I was like, I stand under no judge. I stand under the laws of God. Thank you. And then the judge asked me to approach the bench instead of going to the podium where there is a microphone, right? You go to the podium for a microphone if it's a court of records because it's your hearing, right? You're supposed to be able to understand the nature of the cause against you. So I told the judge, I don't really feel comfortable approaching the bench, seeing how this is my own hearing, but under threat of duress, I'll go ahead and comply. And I went up to the bench and I said a couple of sentences, and it was, Your Honor, I'm here under special appearance representing a third-party interest in the case. I do not understand the nature of the cause against me. Where is the injured party? What authority do you have over my living, breathing soul? Simple question. It's their job to prove that they have jurisdiction, both subject matter and personal jurisdiction over me. And they don't because there is no injured party. So tell me now how I'm in jail. So the correctional officers proceeded to drag me out, one on each side, drug me out of my own court hearing right when I got done asking that question for no reason. The judge didn't answer. He didn't threaten me with contempt. He didn't tell me to shut up. He didn't even tell them to drag me out of the courtroom. It's just like they were trained for this and they knew exactly what to do. And they drugged me out where my feet were literally dragging behind me because they were pulling me so fast in shackles, feet and arm shackles. And they said, you're going to the SHU. Then they threatened to put me in solitary confinement because I know how to stand to the judge. And I said, oh, well, whatever. I don't even care. So they put me in a single holding unit and only until the rest of the people were finished with their court. And then nothing ever came of it after that, as far as putting me in the hole. So I'll pause right there because it gets even more interesting because I had another hearing on Monday that we'll get into next. But it's
this week Monday you did?
Literally like it's like a novel, so.
This week Monday you had another hearing?
No, so on the 13th. So I was incarcerated on the 9th. I had court on the 10th. And then I went back to my dorm. And like the next day when I was out of my cell, I asked one of the officers if she could pull me up on the computer to find out, anything like what courtroom I'm in, anything. And so she was able to turn the computer screen around so I could read it. And eventually, way, way down at the bottom, I saw the words eligible for release. Yes. Eligible for bond? Yes. And I was like, no way, I'm bondable. So I was super happy about that because I immediately got on the phone with Tom and I was like, you have to get out here right now. But also I had told Tom that if I could have one wish in my whole life, it would be to never stand alone in court again. Because I'll be damned if they put hands on me in front of witnesses. That's not going to happen. And so he drove out to Missouri with our son just to be at court and also to try and get me bonded. Now, the computer system did not show what the hearing was for. It didn't say, preliminary. It didn't say anything. And my understanding on the Missouri laws, according to the correctional officers and the other women who were in there, was that once you waive your right to extradition, which means If I didn't sign a paper saying, yes, I agree to go to Tennessee happily, that means that I'm going to sit there for 30 days while Tennessee has to get their shit together. They got to get their paperwork in order. And then if they still want me, they have to then get all of their correct stuff paperwork wise, and then try and come get me that way. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm sitting here for 30 days. Then I'd like to see them try to come up with some paperwork showing that they have legal lawful custody of my child, because they don't have it. So wasn't sure what Monday's hearing was about. Now, the first thing to note is that Monday's hearing was in the courtroom right next door. That's strange. Usually you stay in the same court with the same judge. So instead of Division 35, it was Division 38 with Judge Warner. It's a white female judge. And this time it seemed like it was a court of record. So witnesses, prosecutors, public defenders, a whole room full of people, my family. I was like, wow. I was like relieved. I'm like, this is what it was supposed to look like. Still wasn't sure why I was there. Then the judge proceeds to ask me the exact same questions in the exact same way. And I reply with the exact same thing that I told the last judge. It was just a redo of the extradition hearing all over again, only this time in a court of record.
What was going on in the other court then? What do you think that was happening
Not a court
there?
of record. The other court, Division 35, is an associate circuit court. It is not a circuit court. So those courts are meant to trick you, trap you, take your money, jail you because you're too ignorant to actually look at your paperwork. And that's what they do.
Wow.
That's what they do.
So what was the outcome of that Monday, of the Monday court?
Well, I didn't get drug out of my own hearing that time. But I said the same thing to the judge. I don't understand the nature of the cause against me. And she just replied, fine, I guess you're going to sit here for 30 days then. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. No worries. And I went back to my dorm after that, because they were really convinced, Tennessee and Missouri were both convinced that I was not going to be getting out. I don't know if the whole bonding thing was like a clerical error, because I wasn't bondable at first. And that was really just like a God thing. Because if I go to Tennessee, that whole state is corrupt. There's no getting out of Tennessee. And that is what they're trying so hard to do right now. The judge in my custody case in Tennessee for my daughter is forcing me to now appear in person now on the 21st for the third ex-parte arguments hearing. Really? Why would I need to do that? I already know all of their tricks. I know what they're up to. And Missouri's a part of it too. And God has already shown me all of the things. And it's way, way, way too deep to get into on a public forum like this. But
do you have more names that you can name?
Oh boy. Well, no, just the St. Louis County Police Department. I have a lot of people that are going to be included in my filings. I forgot to mention to you guys that as I was educating the officer who arrested me, because he failed to read me my Miranda rights, he failed to provide me with an arrest warrant, and I also requested to speak with a supervisor 3 times, and I got denied that right as well. And then when we were in the car driving to the jail, he was trying to make me believe that I was going to somehow cross over jurisdictions to Tennessee immediately without even seeing a judge. Like, he was just like, you're going straight to Tennessee, right? And I'm like, really? I was like, that's not how the law works. I'm sorry. Like, so I'm educating him on how the law actually works. And he's just so fed up with me. He just couldn't wait to get rid of me and get me into the jail so he could just be done. And when we pulled into the garage at the police station, he reaches up to his pocket and he deletes his body cam footage, and it makes out loud, recording deleted. And I was out. For me, it's just laughable because I'm so aware of every little thing. And I'm like, I saw that.
What'd you say?
He was so pissed. He's like, you don't know everything. That camera's still recording, like the rear view mirror camera inside the squad car or something. I was like, whatever, that's literally a felony. Just deleting your body cam. I can't remember because it was just a rough night. And of course my arresting documents don't really say a whole lot because they're fraud on its face. So I will have to get his name once the FOIA gets handled.
Yeah, I think that this stuff should get out there. Like I'm completely when I'm kind of done with these people. The fact that they literally took your daughter, took pictures of her vagina at 13 years old.
And now they're making up lies to use against me to cut off contact with her, when in fact, since she's had contact cut off from me, she got worse, because that's what happens with borderline personality children. And now she's in an inpatient hospital.
What?
Because when Lilyana is cut off from her main support, which is me, her self-harm will just get worse and worse. That's how she ended up where she is to begin with. And we had expert doctors with tons of doctorate degrees and master's degrees in neuropsychology who testified, warning the judge, Your Honor, you don't understand this disease and this disorder. You have to get this child to her home in Colorado right now. And Dr. Katie Spirko gave the judge a warning on April 20th, the day before the final incident where Lily almost died. And she said, if you don't return this child to Colorado, Your Honor, she is going to die. She is going to die. She warned him that was going to happen.
Was that the injury with all the stitches on it?
Yes, it was. That happened 24 hours later, and the judge didn't listen to the expert. And we even had an emergency CFTM meeting in the basement of the courthouse after that court hearing, so that we could all get on the same page. And level 4 residential was, of course, the recommendation still and again, and it was ignored again numerous times. I have records from Trust Point Hospital that their recommendation was a level 4 residential back in February, and that DCS ignored Trust Point's hospital's recommendation and let her back out on the street to go hopping around from foster home to foster home, where she would get worse and worse. Not having access to her meds, they'd lose her medications, not refill them for weeks on end. She attended 5 days of in-person school in a matter of 10 weeks. Was missing overnight. She got a tattoo. She had 3 body piercings. I mean, like, seriously, that was before she got locked up in a prison.
Did she say she wanted the tattoos, or is this something that just happened to her?
Yeah, she did the tattoos herself. That's the thing, is self-harm behavior is just that. Self-harm behavior. The child doesn't realize it. They may think that they're just doing it to be cool or because they want something that looks good. But the fact of the matter is, the message that it's sending your brain when you are piercing yourself with safety pins or giving yourself tattoos is the same message as your brain tells you when you're trying to hurt yourself and kill yourself. It's the same thing. And that's why she keeps resorting back to that same thought pattern.
I want to show everybody the pictures of the injuries that she got there. Hang on a minute. This is one that I'm sure they're going to be real happy with us once again, but that's okay. This is the kind of stuff that they're trying to hide, people. And I think that this is just one case. This is one case. Tell us what happened here.
So the day after the permanency hearing, where we warned the judge that she was going to continue to get worse until nobody could keep her safe anymore, she was in the shower at her foster parents' house. She was not actually having a psychological breakdown or an episode of any kind. She was in a great mood. She was looking forward to going to a water park that day, actually, and it was like about 5:30 in the morning. So this was actually the first time that this has ever happened, and this is how progressively worse things can get so rapidly. She experienced what's called a dissociative episode, where she completely blanks out. And when she woke up and came to consciousness, she was on the bathroom floor covered in blood, and had a razor in her hand, like a shaving razor. And she has no recollection of what happened, doing anything, nothing, just complete blackout when she's in a good mood.
Wow, your family has really been through so much.
Yeah, it's we have a feeling that we're still looking at facing quite a few struggles in the future before things get really much better for us. But
is there anything anybody else out there can do to help you besides, my whole thing is pass this information on people, let people see, because the farther this goes, the less likely they are to stop this information and hide what's really happening, because fake stream media is not going to cover this. They're all bought and paid for. And so now we are the news. They are. Is this something you want me to show?
yeah, I finally got this one working for me so that you don't have to.
Let me throw this up here a minute. What are we looking at? Oh, that's the drive.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to leave this up?
A week ago, Miss McKenna had, so a youth was crying and just in her bed crying, and then Miss McKenna came in there screaming at her, threatening her, telling her shut up, and if she doesn't stop crying, she's not going to get any phone calls, because they're only required to give us one phone call a week. So she had already got hers the day prior, so she said she would not get any phone call because she was crying because one of her phone calls, I think because she either didn't get a phone call or her phone call didn't go well. She was just crying in her bed, and Miss McKenna started screaming at her, telling her to shut up because she was crying.
Okay, listen, let me tell you the actual law real quick in case she doesn't print this for you, okay? So this is Tennessee rules and regulations for the care of children at facilities, right? It says the facility must follow, for punishments, right? It says it prohibits punishment which may adversely affect a child's health, physical, or psychological well-being. A copy must be given to all residents, families, staff, and placing agencies. The following forms of punishment must not be used: cruel and unusual punishment, assignment of excessive or inappropriate work, denial of meals, daily needs, and program provided by the individual service plan, verbal abuse, ridicule, or humiliation, permitting a child to punish another child, chemical or mechanical restraints, denial of planned visits, telephone calls, or mail contacts with family. It also says that for restraints that it requires the use of 2 fully qualified staff, immediately notifying the supervisor, a written report to the administrator, and the review of the processes. And it says that, obviously, the isolation stuff, but it says that each staff should be trained in accordance with a specific law. So I requested, that I wanted proof that Miss McKenna and that other lady that did your restraint, I wanted proof that they have completed this specific training pertaining to this particular law. And
so just to touch a little bit on this. So my daughter had experienced her first 27-minute illegal restraint at the new facility that she was transferred to. So this facility, when she had arrived, just swore up and down, "Oh, we'll never hurt you. Oh, no, we're not like them. We'll never do that. We'll never do that." And within about 2 weeks, she really started to feel finally a little bit safe. She wasn't shaking and trembling all the time. She really felt like, okay, wow, I have like a little bit of freedom of movement. You know what I mean? Maybe I really can trust these people. And it was like 3 weeks in. First of all, that she didn't have access to her asthma rescue inhaler for 9 days. 9 days, and she had COVID, and she was coughing her lungs out. No doctor, no asthma treatment for 9 days at Mountain Youth Academy, for the record. And then once she did finally get better, she was seeing all kinds of things happening, abuses happening to other kids. So she was educating them on what proper restraints are supposed to look like. And then it happened to her. And then after she got held down with a knee dug into her back by Miss McKenna, by the way. So no verbal warning given whatsoever. My daughter was not being aggressive. She was not threatening to harm anybody or herself. She was only talking about climbing up like a doorway, which is actually something that she does quite frequently, that other staff members have no issue with her doing. And Miss McKenna just came charging at her without a warning, slammed her on the ground, and proceeded to have her knee fully on her chest where she couldn't breathe for a long, long time, until other staff finally made it to the scene. And then as soon as the other staff members walked in the room, Miss McKenna wanted to pretend like everything was all gravy. And she took her knee off, and like she was just going to pretend like, oh, now I know how to do a proper restraint, right? And then afterwards, when my daughter's trying to fill out grievances about this, because again, they're not given access to pencils or paper or privacy. So the fear of retaliation is very real, and humiliation, because it happens every time, no matter what. The staff feels a type of way about it, and they're going to come at you. And that's what Miss McKenna did. So Miss McKenna then started making fun of Lilyana shortly after that, saying, "Oh, well, what happened to your lawsuit? Your mommy was going to save you with the lawsuit, huh? I thought she knew all this stuff." So she was making fun of my child because Lily chose to put her on notice that she was going to be included in our writ of mandamus, which is us doing her a favor and saying, hey, you might want to, mind yourself a little bit, because we are keeping track of everything. And so she goes and humiliates my child for reporting her.
Unbelievable. Is there anything else on that drive that you'd like to share? I think this is good. Let's put it out there. Screw them.
Right. Let's see. We're going to go up here.
I'd like to actually, I know it would be very painful, but I'm wondering if you could help me get in touch with a mom of the murdered child.
Oh, yeah. I have her number.
I would love to talk with her.
Yeah, I have her phone number. I need to talk with her too and see if I can get an update because
staff members, supervising the visit. So it's not, if it does get to that point, absolutely we would intervene. This
is testimony from the first ex-party arguments hearing where they did the restraining order against me. And the person testifying right now is Jamie Short. She is my daughter's former counselor and is the supervisor of my daughter's current therapist at Mountain Youth Academy. She was not present for the visitation. She did not supervise the visitation. And I actually objected to her testimony even being allowed because it's hearsay, and hearsay is not admissible in a real court of law. But the judge went ahead and allowed it and called it reliable hearsay. So she went ahead and read off of 4 pages of notes that were taken from an unknown staff member, that wasn't here to testify against me. And when I asked her to read all of the notes out loud and not just pick and choose what she wanted, then of course we ran out of time.
Those conversations, from my understanding, happen between just Lily and her mom when it's just the two of them, like on their dorm calls or whatever.
Okay. And this particular incident, there were multiple people that had joined or added to the call, and there was concerns about confidentiality and the things that were being discussed. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay. And in addition, did Lily ever discuss with staff at MYA about a weapon being used for purposes of what occurred with Lily being removed from the state?
Objection. She's already stated. Objection. She's already stated that she has not spoken with Lily directly about these things. So.
Your Honor, she's testifying from the notes. Those are admissible hearsay.
You asking her to review the notes and answer that question, or are you asking based on her own personal knowledge?
Based on the notes, Ms. Short.
Okay.
Is there a note? I'm sorry, Your Honor.
She can
so
answer.
hard to do it this way. I apologize. Is there a note that reflects that there was talk of a weapon being used in the absconding that occurred?
There is, Ms. Jolly. It was noted on 5/13 that Lily stated the man, Gerald Leroy Kramer, quote, prophet of God, who assisted her mother, said he was going to bring a gun the day of 5/8, but decided not to because God had told him not to.
So
is that also that statement concerning the MYA?
Those are lies, by the way. Lilyana said that she never spoke to her counselor about anything that happened during the rescue attempt. So they actually went and looked into Mr. Gerald Kramer on his own YouTube channel to get evidence to use against me during that hearing. So, and without me, I didn't know what Lily told them or didn't tell them. And Lily wasn't, of course, there to participate in her own hearing because they love to do that. So they went ahead and allowed that. But the note itself, I said, well, if you're going to be referencing the note, you need to read the whole thing. And if you're going to read it, then why is it not an exhibit of evidence? And why haven't I been provided with a copy?
What was their answer?
Well, their answer was the judge actually ruled in my favor and said that they were required to provide me with the whole 4 pages of notes before the time of the next hearing, which they didn't. And the notes weren't even brought up at the next hearing because, of course, we didn't have any time to even get through one witness of mine before they cut me off. So, yeah,
I don't even know what to say. This is like
I do. I want to say something.
This is like gradering crap in Michigan with the elections, only it's going after the kids. But you can't just make up the rules on the fly. And the we lost her. Go ahead, Karen. What were you going to say?
Here we are talking every day about the DOJ and how corrupt the federal justice system is because of what they're doing to the rightful president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. And what she's talking about in every stage is an entire system across multiple states, which has been repeatedly in every way, shape, or form working against this mother. And is it just because of the J6 connection, or this is happening to many parents, and is it happening in just one area? Is it happening in multiple states? Is it happening across the entire country? Those are questions we should ask. But the thing that's standing out to me in this moment, and it's choking me up, I am just so amazed at the power given to this woman by God to protect her child, that she is able to withstand the weight of this system working against her and her family, to stand up against such a tidal wave, and the ability that she has had to research everything under the sun. I mean, she's going from procedures and rules up to court systems, up to law, to the nth degree. She's representing herself without attorneys. So she's learning about common law principles. And she's standing there by herself doing what people have tried to do many times and failed, with the help of groups of people supporting each other to learn how to do this type of thing. She has a record in her head that she's able to relate the story step by step. Someday, I think she should write a book of this. Give us your timeline, because in trying to get out to you in an hour of information, the story that she can relate, she's only giving us a snippet of what she's been up against. But Stefany, I've been giving some praise, and I hope you're able to watch this back later, because I want you to know I'm not a mother, but you astound me. You have been given such a gift to be able to withhold as you have the fight against you by this whole country, in a sense. We're talking about the DOJ and President Trump. You are representing to us every mother's fight for many other people who have not had such a voice on BNN. You have it.
Thank you.
You are bringing to light an entire system and how it has betrayed the family in this country. And your ability through God, because I'm giving him the glory,
Amen,
to withstand all of these things, and to hold up, sometimes on your own, sometimes with your husband. And my gosh, the strength that you have given your daughter and the skill set that you have given her to do the same. it's amazing that she was able in some way to help other people from the position that she was placed in, while you're saying at the same time, okay, girl, you got to look out for yourself, because you're putting yourself in a dangerous place, but God has her in his hands too. And she's going to have a story to tell one day too, I think. But
it's
you're
amazing
not getting enough praise
for somebody when they're really struggling. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Advocacy for me did the same thing as far as bring me out of the darkness, and that's all I could do. I had to do something to feel like I was going to bring this whole system down. I knew it. God told me, this is bigger than you. This is bigger than your daughter. And he has revealed to me things that would blow your mind, you guys. And I'm not going to show Tennessee all my cards yet, but unbelievable things. I've got evidence of unbelievable things going far beyond my child. And I've already been put in touch with the right individuals to utilize that evidence. Now, my daughter seems to really thrive when she's advocating for herself or others, because when she's not, she can be self-destructive. She's becoming institutionalized.
She's got the strength from you.
In prison for more than a year. And I don't even hold on to dates anymore. You know what I mean? We let go of the whole, it's going to be this hearing. It's going to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have no idea when it's going to be. All I know is that she's safe and that she knows how to stand up for what is right, both for herself and for the other children in there that don't have a voice. She writes down these laws and she passes it on to their parents. And, I give out my email address all the time. Contact me. I'd be happy to, go over how you can be doing these things and how you can expose these truths as well.
I'd like to talk to love looks like. This is what love looks like, isn't it? And it goes beyond just a mother's love for her family. But I just wanted to take a moment, Stefany, and you didn't hear everything, but to just give you a word of praise. So you are showing God's glory in this too, but you have been a terrific mom. And if you're not hearing it enough, I'm telling you, and I'm sure Donna will say the same, you're doing an astounding job as a mother and as a patriotic warrior too.
The rest of us out here, I can tell you right now, the amount of true anger and disgust I have in me right now for the system is absolutely, I don't know. And I'm pretty sure that everybody out there is feeling the same way. Not only are we proud of you, but we're disgusted and angry at what this system has done to your child and yourself as a mom, your family, what they've done to your husband by making him a political prisoner for doing nothing wrong. These people, anyone that's willing to stand up to them is going to experience some kickback and retribution. And this doesn't mean you stop. That means you keep going. The best way you know what they're really afraid of? You know what a psychopath is afraid of? They're afraid of exposure. And they're terrified that someone's going to actually expose them and tell the truth. Yeah. So the more we can talk about it, the better off we are. And the amount of knowledge you have on the courts, the court system, and how that works is just, it's incredible. And your resolve to stand there in the face of a judge and just tell them what it is, because they're all complicit at that point in time. Yeah. They're all complicit. And the legislature out there who is allowed
Governor Bill Lee. All of this stems from illegal executive orders that Bill Lee signed off on during COVID that are still fakely in existence.
Tell me of their executive orders, and I'm looking at your drive there. Do you have anything else you want to show?
Well, I won't poke around in there too much because I have so many things. But basically how all of these unlawful and illegal kidnapping laws came to be in Tennessee, as far as like to the naked eye, you think it's a law, and then you uncover a layer, you peel back a layer, and I got down to the bottom of it. And, you know, years ago, Governor Bill Lee signed an executive order basically allowing legislative meetings to take place without being in person, and also without requiring witnesses or notaries. Okay, so he got rid of those two things. They didn't need to have a witness anymore, and then they didn't need to have a notary anymore. Those are two big things, because they can proceed to do whatever they want under COVID laws that have never been dissolved. Okay,
shouldn't have been there in the first place. But if we
executive orders were only supposed to be issued by a president,
and it's only to their staff. It's not something that has an effect on people.
Exactly. It always appears to protect the people, right? But that's just to hide the language in it that they want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they got rid of witnesses and notaries. So then they started creating all of these illegal TCA, Tennessee Code annotated amendments to kidnap children and launder money and racketeering and commit healthcare fraud. That's what they're doing, because good old Biden basically is giving out billions and billions of free grant money for mental health. Okay, all under the guise of mental health. I mean, people can't build facilities fast enough to funnel that money. You know, there's so much money coming from Biden for it that the government has had to create a whole new business structure and business model. Okay, and it's not just courts and DHS. They have their own employees, their own businesses, insurance agents, title companies. They will teach you how to become an American national, how to create a nonprofit, and how to work for the government trafficking children. Okay, I have a lot of stuff to say about that, but it all started with Governor Bill Lee's executive orders, because a child is not supposed to be committed to an institution for more than 30 days. Well, if you don't have a notary, and you don't have, because when you're institutionalized, you're actually required to see a doctor every certain number of days with a notarization and all kinds of things. Okay, there's no oversight anymore. So they've abolished every single oversight committee in existence. That means, you know, people that used to investigate child abuse, you know what I mean? Every organization, judicial oversight, okay? All of it. They've gotten rid of all of it. And it's happening in all of our states, you guys. It's happening in all of our states. So you guys should go look up bills and acts, okay? And read into them, because it's already in effect here in Colorado.
Well, Proposition 3 here in Michigan was highly deceptive in saying that, you know, it did exactly the opposite of what people thought it was. And unfortunately, people don't read what they're actually voting for. So it sounded good, but what it was really about was taking away parental rights.
Yep. Yeah, they use mental health as a means to like get the public's attention. We have a crisis. We have a crisis. We need more of this. We need more of that. We need more training. And yes, that's true. However, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And that's just the excuse that our government officials want to use to trap us. And they've already done it. And nobody cares to even read into it. You know, I've actually literally lost my entire family over this exact issue, because I decided to call my dad in Arizona, who's a liberal, to give him a warning, a very fearful, worried warning that he needed to read. He needed to read up on the Behavioral Health Task Force in Colorado, because it would blow your mind. Okay, there is language in there for abusing children in crazy fancy medical terms. Okay, renal failure. There's lots of stuff about renal failure and renal failure clinics of little kids claiming it's from cancer. I'm like, really? Because there's a bunch of tiny little youngins just rocking around with renal failure, right? It's absolutely insane. It's completely insane, and it's meant to kidnap not only children, but entire families, elderly and everything, okay? I thought Tennessee's laws were bad, and here I am. If I just get my kiddo back home to Colorado, we'll be safe. No, that is already passed in 2022. Behavioral Health Task Force. So what they're doing is All the oversight committees go away. The public doesn't know that they go away. They just rename them. They just, change this to a committee or a advisory board or whatever. And everybody who sits on those committees or advisory boards are all trained, corrupt, secret keepers. Okay. And it follows one chain of command, right? So it's like basically, how we're supposed to have a separation of powers in our government and judicial system, right? And we don't. It's the same thing. They're eliminating the separation of powers with oversight committees so that the human services is at the top of the pyramid. Period. Nobody.
Is it what you're talking about right here?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything specific you'd like to have me click on?
No, not specifically. I will. It's a really big rabbit hole. That's not very easy to go down.
That's okay.
What I will do though is I will pull up a really handy Word document that has lots of different links that people can go to, so people can basically just like copy and paste the whole page.
Can you put it in the private chat here and I can copy it and put it up there? Or where do you... Okay.
Absolutely. So everybody needs to look into their own stuff. I just realized that Missouri is got their own set of ridiculousness, and that their whole goal with this Associate Division 35 is to get me to appear in person and revoke my bond for no reason and unlawfully jail me again. That's their whole angle. And they are contracted with Tennessee. And I already found all of the sub laws pertaining to their contracts with other states. That's what they do, is they hide these laws in plain sight. So they'll have one set of laws that applies to the citizens, and then they'll have another set of laws called titles. And what the titles are the secret contracts and language that this court is in agreement with this court over, right? It's so ridiculous and obvious in plain sight. I just want everybody to just look into it, really.
Weaponized against the American people is what they've done.
Yeah,
and then they hide each other's complicity with the crimes being committed.
Yeah. I mean, people need to wake up. It's our own fault that we're in this mess, It really is.
Yes and no. But I mean, when we're in a system that everyone has kind of been victimized through poor education, the MEA and NEA need to be absolutely abolished, and we need to decentralize the entire system. But the first step is, if something goes wrong, you need to educate yourself before you get to that point, so you have a little bit of knowledge. This would have been a lot easier for you, I'm sure, if you hadn't been in crisis mode to have to jump in and educate yourself.
Right. Yeah. See, I actually feel blessed that the only reason I was able to survive this whole ordeal was because I was in survival mode. My husband was incarcerated for 26 months. Oh, the chat doesn't, let me see. Is this the private?
I can copy and paste. I've got part of it. And so I can copy that and put it on my Telegram channel.
Yeah, here, just copy this right here.
Okay.
Oh, of course. This one.
Okay, it's just really pretty telling that how hard they're working to shut this down.
Yeah.
And this is a strange day today.
Still up for you?
What's that?
Is my screen still up for you to see?
It is. I won't put it up until you tell me that.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you can copy this whole section, and then let me know when you got it copied. I'll scroll down to the second one.
This is what I have that I'm looking at. You don't want that up, right?
Right. You see my.
So I see in the private chat here You need to look at the private chat.
Oh, I know why. Hang on one second. I got to share. Let me stop sharing this.
Okay. Yeah, I got to go to a different window sometimes. Just really, really.
You know, for a kitchen table, Donna, you do pretty good.
I try to move around to get as much stuff out as I can.
There we go. Share the window. There you go. You see that now?
Yes, I can.
So this has all of the links to read about the story of that teenager that was murdered, because they really buried that, you know, with pages and pages of fake news, you know, in the search engines. They didn't want Youth Village's name getting tarnished, even though there's a lot of stuff about Youth Villages. There was one of the employees at Youth Villages had been arrested for raping a young boy there. And he still was working there, you know what I mean? And the boy ended up contracting HIV.
Oh, so you got to be kidding me.
So many children that are now, you know, aged out of the system that are involved in that lawsuit. I would be involved in that lawsuit too if I weren't. Number one, attorneys are all corrupt, and I'm sui juris. I don't need an attorney to do my lawsuit, so there's no way in hell I'm going to get saddled up with one of those guys again. But
Can you email that to me a minute?
Yes, ma'am.
And that might be easier for me to share. How old was this kid that was raped? This boy?
Oh, I think he was like 8 or 10.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah. If you just look at those links on those stories, there are so many children with similar stories to what happened to my daughter and worse. And again, no consequences for these individuals. So the individuals at these mental health facilities are protected unless you really know, like me, how to get around all of the fluff, okay? And come at them on their individual capacity, their professional capacity, and on a state capacity, right? So you can sue them from 3 different angles. And their fake immunity laws that they claim, you know, protect them, they don't, because those only give them protection when they're not violating the law. So if they're actually committing crimes, it doesn't give them immunity. So it may look like they have immunity, so a lot less people, you know, bother going after them because they just don't know how.
Well, it's all theater.
Yeah, it is all theater. So I started realizing why it was that none of these facilities really gave a damn about losing their mental health license, right? I would literally yell at them every day, like, in order to accept money from TennCare, right? In order to be licensed in the state of Tennessee as a mental health practitioner, here you are, Youth Villages. I looked them up, I showed them. These are the laws that you're supposed to follow regarding restraints and the treatment of the children and or your license will be revoked and you will get no more funding, right? Well, it's a lot deeper than that. So I had to learn that the hard way.
What do you mean it's a lot deeper?
Well, because they don't have to they've gotten rid of all of their licensing committees, all of their regulatory committees, number one. Just like if you guys read into the Behavioral Health Task Force, the whole point of that is so that they can give authority to librarians to give injections and administer drugs. You don't need to be a doctor to prescribe drugs anymore, guys. There's language in there eliminating and basically criminalizing being a doctor. So once they roll out that whole system to where everybody is trained under their authority, right? You don't have to go to college to be a nurse anymore. None of this shit, okay? Just go get their training. Go get your training from the Human Services. Matter of fact, once you get the training, you know, please be sure to report any doctors and we will be sure to have them arrested, right? So when it gets to that point, you guys, this is New World Order stuff. Doctors are going to be the ones getting reported on for practicing medicine lawfully by the people who are committing crimes and practicing medicine illegally. Okay.
I think that's been going on for a while, quite honestly. It's just that they're looks like they're getting more of a concerted effort towards it.
Yeah. So I ended up losing contact with my entire family because after I tried to, you know, share with my dad the actual laws that you can't make up, right? You guys, you cannot make this shit up, right?
Right.
It's right there on the legal lawful website of Colorado, Dad. I'm sorry. I wish it were not true, but if you're not going to take the time to at least read it and look at the facts. He literally screamed at me, called me a conspiracy theorist, because I mentioned NWO. New World Order.
Oh my.
He has been keeping a conspiracy chart for me for 10 years that he writes things in. Yeah. He was like, where's my chart? Where's my conspiracy? I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? And I just sat there and I took it and I listened, and he screamed and yelled and made me cry. And I didn't even hang up on him. I was like, you know what? It's not your fault. You don't know. But I sure wish you weren't so mean about it.
Wow. So is it his choice or your choice that you're
My
not
choice.
talking?
I can't do it. I can't do
you
the
can't take that
berating
kind of
and
abuse.
name calling and stuff. Like, I'm living this every day. I have my nose buried in these studies every day. What do? Nothing. I mean, that's the thing about conspiracy theorists is in the future, one day, we're all going to be the ones that they come turning to for answers and for help, because they're not going to know what the hell to do when shit hits the fan.
Right. And that's kind of an art form to be able to handle people that are that hurt and have been that misled.
Yeah.
Without blaming them.
COVID was a delicate couple of years,
know.
but we survived COVID miraculously, even with 2 Democrats in my family, and even I'm the only person in my family that didn't get vaccinated. So even the Republicans in my family got vaccinated.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
So
and you want to know what? 2 of my family members got the same kind of kidney cancer, all within less than a year of each other, right? But God, I'm not going to mention COVID. I'm not going to ask him if my one family member is vaccinated, because I already know they are. Tom's dad died of cancer. He got different types of cancer all over his body that spread so fast within 6 months. You can't make this stuff up. Like within 6 months of the vax, skin cancer, blood cancer. I mean, things that lung cancer, more than one type, just all at once. And he died. That was the first. So I've now known 3 people, 1 who died of cancer. I mean, you can't make it up. They can just sit there and look the other way all they want, or regret that they ever got the first or second round. But it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
Sorry. I'm still trying to get this this email in a minute. I'll post it as soon as it comes through. Well, I don't know what to say. I think Mark. I don't see Mark coming on today, so it's just going to be a strange day. So I think it's a God thing, because we needed to spend more time going through your story here, and I really appreciate you sharing this. Is there anything else before we go that you'd like to talk about?
Well, right now I'm just trying to fight everything administratively, so that I don't have to cross state lines, because I already know what they have planned for me. So.
Yeah, they're going to incarcerate you and throw the key away.
Every time I sit down to try and write some motions and affidavits, guess what happens? All the cyber intrusion and hackers come hard. So I literally spent the whole day yesterday not doing anything when I was supposed to be transcribing the 60 pages of handwritten testimony that I had to do, because I don't have a single working device ever. Thank you, Magistrate Wilhoit. Thank you so much. Can't wait to see you in court when I'm on the other side.
Well, and to look at this is so crazy, because there's no threat here. Why this is the problem with their entire injustice system in prison. They're letting like, illegal immigrants, illegal aliens come around, and the gangs are everywhere in all 50 states, but they're going after a mom and a child who has got some issues, and not only arresting them and incarcerating them, human trafficking the daughter, incarcerating her husband as a political prisoner. And yet our country is being overrun by gang members, and they're operational in every state. This is
and they're blaming the mother for her progressively continuing to get worse, when every time they do this, it turns around and bites them in the butt, because literally all they do is prove that they're wrong. Every time they cut off contact with mom, guess what? Spiral. When are they going to understand? because the
What
thing
are they
is,
going to understand? They're not God and they don't know everything, and they need to stop this assault on a family.
Tennessee changed their laws to kidnap your child until they turn 18. That's how messed up their laws are.
Is that the executive order?
That's not the executive order. That's juvenile code that they've rearranged to keep those children, even in illegal temporary jurisdiction, right? In a state that they do not live, they can keep them until they're 18, and then they can try and force the parent to move to that state so that they can monitor their kid and make sure that they are not going to commit any unruly or delinquent acts.
Do you have the link to that law?
Oh yeah. I got lots of that law. That's my bread and butter.
I think we should post a bunch of links here. And so you can put that in the private chat or you can email it to me, your choice.
See, why are they attacking this? Why are they attacking this woman and her family? Because she's taking slings and arrows, and they hate that. She is the Trump version of the family warrior.
She is literally striking back.
Exposure. Yes. She mentioned it earlier. Exposure is what they fear. It's the greatest weapon of all. And they can't handle the fact that she's doing what a lot of other parents wouldn't have the fortitude or the skills or the willingness to do. And she's like, forget that. I'm protecting my family.
Can you go to the top?
You all better look out.
Yeah.
So I have made many attempts to disqualify the judge so that I could actually get in front of a real judge of authority, which is like impossible to do. It's not easy, you guys. So people need to be very careful when they're on this journey. People can get they can hear one good speaker and they're just like off to the races. And I try and give them warnings, I had some people over at my house for a barbecue, a Patriot barbecue, and this gentleman was speaking and everybody was like so enthralled. And you could tell that he was literally just on the very, very beginning of the knowing of the Constitution and the Constitution. I'm like, yeah, right. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's literally going to get these people in trouble because I've literally been standing sui juris since November. And look at me now. I've been jailed. I've been everything. And I know what I'm doing. So this is not something to take lightly. It's not something where you can just go and cite the Constitution in a court because they are not constitutional courts. So it doesn't matter. Unless you get to the Supreme Court, U.S. Code and Constitution does not matter. They do what they want. They make up their own rules. They are an administrative procedural court. So you have to get them on their own procedures. That's the only rule they operate under.
Wow.
So
I'm going to read a few things from the chat here because it kind of blew up there for a while, which was amazing. They have done this before. We had our data hacked from our computer in 2020. Remember that they put their boots on media. They're Nazis. Russia war. They're not reporting, or the Michigan election trail, and they're not reporting illegal alien crimes. Tom, always learning. Hi, Tom. Twice.01, it's about pedophilia and sexual favors. Always has been. People are money to them. Charlotte, yes, Whitmer is making millions for her NGO's cult. Tom, how horrible and sad. Stories like this when there must be a final judgment day. When or why there must be a final judgment day. Jamie Thomas has a House bill and the maladministration won't pass it. The bill is to investigate the abuse in government facilities. Pedophiles, this Charlotte, pedophiles pushing birth control, gender transition have plotted themselves something in LGBTQ and government department positions themselves, I think, are placed. LGBTQ people need to fix what's going on in their own movement, which is the genocide of our youth. Did you report this to the hospital board of review? That's from Charlotte. Health facility complaint form and a Laura complaint. Grievance against a hospital that staged a grievance process. Sue the crap out of them. Tom has a tear in his eye. Charlotte said, if Prop 3, something law killing offspring shortly before birth, and or after genocide government. Government wants control of all property, all in and from China's here. I don't understand that. Michiganders, if they start looking into the law here, would freak out. The court systems and their bar of pay-to-play attorney. Keep up the good fight from Tom. The problem is they'll bankrupt you before they suck the life out of you and family corrupt court clowns. Instead of free college, it should be free court for everyone because they're going after everyone. Unjust charges for all.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's true. I spent $70,000 on a corrupt attorney for 6 months. And then when I finally got my head out of my ass and realized what was happening with the corrupt bar association and the fact that you should never, ever let an attorney represent you because you're basically telling the judge that you're incompetent for yourself. And the judge proceeded to hold me hostage for 5 months after we filed an agreed upon order for my attorney to withdraw. Okay. 5 months. He refused to hear our motion to withdraw, you guys. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's holding you hostage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep going here. God bless U.S. conspiracy theorists better than being a MAO. Keep the light shining in the darkness. Biden and Whitmer said children belong to the community, not the parents. God has plans for her, family attorney, or somewhere she will make changes in this corrupt system. Donna, I just ran so mad the last few weeks. Michigan's going to hell. It's true, but that's why we fight, and God's standing on our side. So we need to just keep going. I think this is. I think I'd like to end it here and have you come back on. Do you want me to show those pictures you put on a minute?
Oh yeah. I literally was reporting the abuses to every single licensure. I mean, Medicaid fraud, TennCare fraud, healthcare, this board, that board, all the Tennessee officials. That's literally what I did every day. So
go back to the pictures, please.
They're all mandatory reporters who failed to protect my child.
That is so sad.
And this is there's of course injuries that you can't get on picture, which is dehydration, starvation, freezing to death, religious services. She hasn't had access to religious services in 12 months. No church, no education. Okay. The school, quote unquote, school inside a residential facility. It's not school. It's like first grade level.
So sad. So sorry. Let's pray for Stefany and Tom and Lilyana and their family a minute, because I think this is the only way to help this is to get God involved in it and ask our Father, ask Papa here to intervene in this for this family. Would you guys like to start, or do you want me to pray?
Yes, please do.
Dear Heavenly Father, we are at a loss for words right now, because we know that Stefany, Tom, Lilyana, their family aren't the only ones in this situation. This is one example of what these godless people in our injustice system, in the court systems, have been doing to children and family, the grooming, the trafficking, the hurt and such. And they use that word protection against us, expecting us to trust what they say. We've been told to trust about what the government's doing, what these agencies are doing, what the experts are doing. And you know what? When it comes down to it, the only one that we should be trusting is you as we walk through this earth with you. You're good all the time. We accept that sometimes things happen that are non-ideal, that are bad things that happen, but we also know that you can turn them around into something beautiful, because you see the end of the story, not just where we're at and not the beginning, and we're thankful for that. Thank you for every single protection that you've given Lilyana while she's in custody. Even though she's being victimized and hurt, there's still a measure of protection there, and we're thankful for the protection you have been given her, that you have given her. She Yeah, and we pray for the family whose daughter was literally murdered at their hands, and for them to cover this up. We ask that you bring every single one of these people to justice, that you would throw all of this out in the light, and that these people would be running scared for their lives, because they should be. They've broken the law. They violated your law, your rules, the rules in how we conduct ourselves, and they've done very bad things. We ask that you would bring them to an abrupt and decisive justice for the crimes that they've committed. We thank you so much, though, for the protection you've given Liliana, Stefany, Tom, and their son Ben. We are blessed by the amount of work that they've done. That Stefany didn't feel sorry for herself. She went ahead and dove into doing the work during bad times, and you've led her through this path to fight this in a beautiful and brave and unwavering, the way of a warrior. And I'm thankful for that. I ask that you would strengthen her every single minute of her life, that your favor would be upon her and Tom and Liliana and Ben, that you would pour out blessings upon them in measures that they cannot even imagine. And also that you would open doors that need to be opened, that you would open up the way out of this for Liliana and for this family, and that it would be so miraculous that everybody would look at it and say, the only way this happened is that God Almighty opened those prison doors, let the prisoners out and set the captives free, and brought justice to every single person out there who has stood against you, your children, your people, and has waged war upon you. This is where it comes down to. It's war upon you. It's the fight of good and evil. And you know what? In the name of Jesus Christ, I pray and I plead the blood of Christ over every single infraction and injustice that's been done, that you would wash the evil completely away, that you would destroy all evil, and that all that would be standing is your goodness, your righteousness, because you, in fact, are the righteous judge, that everyone in this situation would be judged righteously through your judgment, and that this whole thing would come to a glorious end, all glory and honor being given to you. Thank you so much for the beauty that you've given in our lives, even when we walk through horrible circumstances, that you would give them a renewed mind, peace that passes all understanding, which only comes from your hand, constant hedge of protection around them, that you would foil all the plans of the enemy to do any further harm, and that you would shine your light into this to be so great that there is no stopping the beauty and your presence in this situation. We love you so very much. Bless Ben. Give Ben an extra protection for his mind and the way he looks at the world, that he would also follow in the footsteps of his mother, who is a warrior, and that he would be an inspiring man of God. We ask the same thing for Liliana, that she would be an inspiring woman of God, that her testimony would be heard throughout the world as an example of fighting when things go wrong. We don't back down. We don't waver. When they come at us, we go at it even harder, and we do not fail, because we are being held up by your strength, by your might. It's not our own strength. It's by your strength and by your might. And we thank you for that. Give us discernment. Give them discernment and show them the path that they are to walk, so that they could walk right straight up the middle, that no evil would come near them or their house. I pray peace for them, peace for their house, that it would be a sanctuary away from the evil in this world, that they would have a place to rest that cannot be touched by anyone. Make them invisible to the forces of evil, completely invisible, and that good people would come forward to help fight for them and make the way. Warriors that are unwavering and who will not back down to threat or coercion, but who would take this right to them in the fight of their life, and that the fight they think they're waging, that they would eat every single blow that they have put out against this child. Thank you so much for loving us, for being a great friend to us. We want to be a friend to you. We're willing to walk whatever path that you have us on, unwavering, because it's you yourself that's holding us up and enabling us to stand against anything that comes at us. And because we have your protection, your ultimate protection. Protect Lilyana's mind and let her see clearly. Give her discernment
and self-love.
Yeah, give her the love of you, of the love of Christ. And I pray for a healing, a complete healing for her mind. And the strength of Christ be with her and uphold her every step of her way, that no further harm comes to this child. And bring this to the attention nationwide, so that everyone can see, just like the rightful president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump. Bring this forward, that everyone would be outraged at what's happening. There's going to be a day these people aren't going to be able to walk the street that have committed this evil, because good people are not going to stand for it, because we serve you and we want to serve you. We want to do the right thing. Keep us strong and keep us on your path, not distracted. And every step of the way, we love you. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray, amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Those words rang so true. You already know that those divine connections have already been delivered. And there are so many amazing forces working from every angle, from all over this nation for this fight. I can't wait till it's all over and I can be more public about all the supportive, amazing souls that have really just been a shining light for us.
Anyone that wants to get on here to expose the crimes within CPS and HHS, you are welcome, because we're not going to stop. And they can try to silence it. We already put 2 Tor nodes up, and it's going to be like playing whack-a-mole to get rid of this. It ain't going down.
Yeah.
And there are so many of us fighting at this point in time that I think that the ass kicking that they're receiving now is just going to get worse. Yeah. And so if you're doing the wrong thing in these organizations, I would love to invite you to come on Brandenburg News Network as a whistleblower and stand up for the crimes that you're seeing and not be part of it in any form, in any level of this government. If you're willing to step away from it, we will give you a voice. And everyone that's watching this, that's out there, you should have this on speed post. Put this out there to all your networks. We have to get loud. Part of our way to get, you don't have to stand here like Stefany or like myself or Karen, but you can help us get our voices out there that have been silenced. Put it out there to the ends of the earth so that they can see that they took Lilyana to some unnamed facility to take pictures of her vagina, showing them to her. Huge damage done to this woman and this family. The illegal incarceration of Tom Hamner, who is a political prisoner. The unlawful kidnapping. It was kidnapping that they did for you, and incarceration of you. The kidnapping of this child. This is kidnapping. All of it is.
It was.
It's kidnapping by those we were taught to trust. And I'm just gonna say, y'all have no idea what's coming. The ones that have committed this crime, you have no idea what's coming. It's coming. Nothing can stop what's coming. And I can guarantee you, every crime you commit is on your record. And we know we have it all. When President Trump said we had it all, we have it all.
Yes,
and
we do.
There's nowhere for you to hide.
I've really been very patient. I've really been very tolerant. I've remained in honor. I've remained a friend of the court. I've given everybody ample opportunity to turn this around for a long time now. I warned them. I said, you guys are mandatory reporters. It is literally your job by law to report this abuse, or you are complacent in it, right?
Complicit. They're complicit criminals. And this is a, a foreign entity that's running our nation right now.
Yes, it is.
And so, you know what? That's okay. We're going to take it back. So with that said, thank you for coming on. Hang on a minute. Don't get offline a minute.
Okay.
But we're going to end it here. For as heartbreaking as this story is, you'll notice that I am a fairly unemotional person because I go directly to warrior.
Yeah.
And so I don't get sad. I get pissed. And then I get even. And plotting their demise is part of Donna Brandenburg's fun part of life. And I don't mean grab your torches and pitchforks. I mean, in a legal way, how do you end this situation in something, because they're not lawful, they're not doing anything right. But we have a way to do this legally and lawfully.
Yes.
Don't go into Stupidville because they want somebody to react in a dumb way. We have the law on our side, and we need to wield that weapon, the weapon of the lawfare that's out there, because that damns every one of them. God has his law. There's a lawful process. They are damned right now. They are damned unless they turn around. And I would require or implore every one of them who has been involved in human trafficking. This goes into our fake Christian agencies and fake Jewish agencies and fake religious agencies who are standing there under a banner of righteousness that are committing these crimes. Or Health and Human Services should be Health and Human Murder. CPS should be, child porn services if they're taking pictures of our kids. CPS, child porn services, right there.
There you go.
And so every one of you are damned before God. I would suggest that if you're a good person, maybe you should resign from these and walk away and become a whistleblower. If you're involved in this, and then repent before God, because this is not going to be forgiven. You don't touch a kid. God's not going to forgive this. There's no way. So with that said, I want to let everybody know that there's important things going on, and we're not going to give up on this. We're going to keep going. And so I'm hoping Stephanie jumps back on here again. Jump back on. Just so you know, we're not going to give up on this issue. And Stephanie, you're welcome. You and Tom are welcome on here anytime you so desire. I will flip the cameras on.
Thanks. I'd be happy to give a lesson in how to review your own complaints or arrest warrants, and what to spot and how to approach it administratively without having to go to court.
I would very much like that. In fact, I'd like you to do that on a regular basis. So I think we need to get a spot on. I'm full up next week right now, unless I keep the camera rolling more on Tuesday. But my thing on Tuesday is that's a sentencing day for President Trump. And I think that this unlawful system that we have going on, we have to talk about the political prisoners in this nation and how they've weaponized everything against families, our children, and the rightful president of the United States. And we're not going to waver on this. So with that said, take heart, everyone. God is not going to abandon us. He will never abandon us, nor will he forsake us. Never will he do this. So just stand strong. All he asks us to do is stand, and he will bring everything around us. He will get the work done. He will vindicate us. Keep your heart. Make sure your heart is okay. It's okay to be a warrior, but realize, keep your eyes on God all the time. He will preserve your mind. He will give you a sound mind. He will be able to let you walk
and
right.
Not in the fearful kind of way either.
Yes.
Not to be being fearful of that, because God is all knowing and all loving and all powerful.
Yeah, this is under his feet.
With courage with God, not in fear.
He will bring this all around, and it's going to be glorious. And I'm claiming this in the name of Jesus Christ. Liliana is going to be a wonderful warrior for God. And when you're in the midst of abuse and things that have gone wrong, sometimes you turn into a warrior that just doesn't care anymore. And that's
I didn't mean to end up like this, and then I realized it's kind of my thing. And now I can't do anything else.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So with that said, stay on the line here. I'm going to end it, but we're going to say what I always do. So heart hands. So God bless you all. God bless all those whom you love, and God bless America. Peace to your home. Peace to all those whom you love, and peace to your paths, all your paths that you walk. It's going to be okay. And I will see you tomorrow. We've got Jonathan Cagle on, who is a investigator who fights corruption within the government. And also we'll have Off the Grid on. Castle Report is at 9 o'clock with Daryl Castle. And after that, Off the Grid with Karen and Ralph and David Kent. And then after that, it's Jonathan Cagle, who is a wonderful investigator and he throws names out. It's like, we're going to name names, and these people are going to be out where everybody can see who they are. Have a great day, and remember, you're loved.